Okay, go for it.
32 million. It's about the population of Canada. And according to Amnesty International, it's also the number of Americans that have been racially profiled. Personally, I think I've been racially profiled. Maybe at the airport, or maybe just driving by the police. And it's not just me. Obviously, you can see 32 million people. That's a pretty sizable amount of the population. This is an issue that affects a lot of people. I'm going to ask you guys a question. How many of you have heard about the Arizona immigration bill? All right, so it's most of you. Basically, what it is, it was passed, I think, last year, and it requires all non-citizens to require, like, they have to carry some documents, like a driver's license, and if they don't, it's a state misdemeanor. It also cracks down on those who help illegal immigrants. Now, the big debate about this immigration bill was many people accuse it of racially profiling people of Hispanic or Latino descent. And it created some pretty big waves in the political spectrum. Some people protested it, while others basically propagated it and said they want it in their own states. So I'm here to talk to you guys about how psychology, the police, and court systems all tie into racial profiling. So the first is psychology. Through my research, I've seen that psychology is basically the root cause for racial profiling and racism. It all starts in the mind. It could be unconscious or conscious. Unconscious is usually very implicit, and it's pretty hard to detect. It depends on how either you're raised, which is your nature or the environment, or your genetics, which is your nurture. Also, there's conscious, which is, you could think of it as, oh, he is this and this, or he has this kind of characteristics. Therefore, he will do this, or, yeah, along the lines of that. And according to David McAllister, a prominent Canadian criminologist, many people are unaware of the racial subtext to their beliefs. This means that many people just aren't aware of what they're doing, if they're racially profiling, if they're being racist, or if they're doing it intentionally. Also, you must take into account how psychology actually affects the police and the criminal justice system as it is today. Now, in today's society, police are very tied into racial profiling. They're seen as the main perpetrators of racial profiling and are frequently accused of it. Anyone here heard of the Rodney King case? Okay. So I thought there would be more people, but I'll explain it anyways. Basically, I think in the 90s, early 90s, there was a man named Rodney King, and there's actually a video of him being beat by the LAPD. And it actually spurred many riots, and it was a very big issue back in the day. So it was a very big issue. Now, according to Philip Stenning, a prominent criminologist, there are two sides to racial profiling in the police. One side says that they're taught to work without regard to race, while the other side says they receive cultural awareness training, which is basically taking account into the cultural and ethnic differences. And now, it's very hard to measure racial profiling, so that also adds another dimension to the whole debate, as you could either say they're racial profiling, which is based on a person's race or ethnicity, or they're criminal profiling, which is based on just general characteristics. Also, some argue that the police are just obeying their superiors, and they're just following the law. The media also has a big role, as the police are, as I said before, they're really portrayed as the perpetrators. Now, as racial profiling starts with the police, it might also end with a court system. Now, the biggest controversy within the court system is the incarceration rates of minorities. According to Garrick Percival of the University of Minnesota, in conservative counties, blacks are incarcerated at 5 times more than whites. Hispanics are incarcerated 1.6 times more. Now, I said conservative counties because this is a pretty big, aspect. So you must also take into account the ideologies. Also, you need to take into account the roles of poverty and the roles of urbanization, where many minorities reside, and there are also more higher crime rates there. So, in conclusion, I'd like you all to formulate your own opinions, and I want you to take into account the deep psychological roots as well as their effects on the police and the criminal justice system. Thank you for listening.
All right.